Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to the episode of my F1 2018 career mode, episode number 120 today for the Singapore Grand Prix in Season 6. If you guys did miss the previous one then at the Italian Grand Prix, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one. That was a really good comeback drive episode for us, and obviously it was a comeback drive because we tactically took the engine penalties there rather than Singapore here. Street circuit, didn't want to take them, and so now we have a fresh set. We don't need to worry about that, although there might be some rain in qualifying, so that might be something to worry about in terms of going around here in the wet is going to be quite treacherous. But going into this episode then, Renault continuing the development path they've been on there, and they continue this upward trajectory. So I really don't know. Renault have just come out of nowhere. I think they maybe saved like 2,000 plus resource points and now just spending them and coming back out of nowhere. So just as I thought, okay, we've got them under control. We're actually like, you know, nearly level pegging with them on paper at least. Now they're just shooting back up. And so even though Verstappen has won now 3 races in a row, could that be now the end of it? Could Renault finally now come back, and will they dominate like they kind of almost did at the very start of the season in a way with the pace? We'll have to see. Street circuit like Singapore though, you would say naturally would suit the Red Bull car. Obviously Season 6 is a very different car to the natural Red Bull car of Season 1, and Renault have definitely improved quite a fair bit, but still I think we should go okay. But like I said, there's some rain involved, so we get through Q1, that's all fine. Q2 though, intermediates, you can see already having some issues of going very, very slow. It's not looking like a very fast F1 car at the moment around this circuit, because I was pretty much scared about just spitting this car on the wall or something like that, especially when the rain just started to come down. You can see it doesn't really look that wet on the actual circuit. Yes, you can see the rain droplets and whatnot or on intermediates, but the actual track itself does not look that damp. So I was a little bit just hesitant to get on the power, and so it took us 2 laps to actually get kind of the confidence there. You can see we've gained a lot more time on the top right there compared to our first final lap, and this time we're actually finding a lot of decent time, and the Red Bull is, you know, the Red Bull aero is finally kicking in for me, and I can actually have confidence in planting the power and trying to chuck this car in with some sort of aggression really in Q2. So across the line we go, provisional fastest there in Q2 ahead of Ricciardo and Sainz, who are doing pretty well, so those upgrades are working well for Renault. Eventually we move down to P6, but it doesn't matter, we're into the top 10. Verstappen there as well, but both Renaults looking pretty good, or at least one Renault, Ricciardo. Sainz actually fell down the order quite a fair bit at the end of that, and actually Brendan Hartley was the fastest there in the McLaren there, so very, very odd stuff there, but fair play to Hartley. But now we move into Q3, and it got even worse. It was full wet conditions, and so the blue wall tires are coming out. I don't know what it is, but as soon as I put them on, it was the sense of, okay, this is now a boat, and it really felt like that because the rain was pouring down now, and I had no grip. You can see them understeer there. I'm just waiting for the car to bite in, really, honestly, but we are going quite well, I think. Across the line we go. We're up into P3, ahead of Verstappen, actually, right now on our first flying lap. But then right at the end of the session, I came in from that lap. I came in, and the engineer said it's going to be dry enough for intermediates. I strapped them on, went out straight away, literally. This is the last point I could have gone out, so I actually had to drive out the pit lane. The game wouldn't let me actually go out with the fast flying lap to skip over to start the flying lap. I had to go out manually, and we just about make it with about a few seconds to spare. You can see in the top right, and now the checker flag's fallen, and everyone is out on a lap on intermediate. So thankfully that I at least recognised that, because if I didn't, I would have been starting P10 for sure, because everyone's out on inters. Because you'll see in a minute here as we go down the back straight into the first sector, into the second sector, Alonso goes fastest, but you're about to see pretty much everyone and their mother set purple lap times, because everyone's just getting faster and faster, because the track is now basically like Q2, and we all just spent 8 minutes, 9 minutes in full wet conditions, and now everyone's reveling in the kind of inters conditions and trying to get pole position. Basically anyone could get pole at the moment, as I'm down to P10 now through the last corner. We've gained quite a decent amount of time there, but getting on the power way too early, and we go for a 360 spin across the line, even more than that, and somehow I still managed to get P5, because we did have more than a second on the table. I lost maybe 3/10 or something like that with the spin, or even more, but I still came across the line significantly higher than I was on my delta time on the full wet. So miraculously I'm still in P5 actually after that stupendous spin across the line. Verstappen P3, but Renault's lock out the 1-2 at Singapore. Now I don't know if that's just the wet conditions suiting them, or that might be their pure pace now with those upgrades, so we'll have to see in the race, but I'm still confident we can do something there. It seems like we have some decent pace. I think in the dry I'll be a lot more confident, of course, compared to the intermediate and full wet. So let's go to the grid then and see how we do under the floodlights of Singapore.
As the sun sets over the South China Sea, the sport that never sleeps is alert and raring to go. Welcome, under the bright lights of the Marina Bay circuit, to another Singapore Grand Prix. It's a very long, very physical lap, this one, and really there's not much in the way of margin for error. So we have a bit of an endurance race for you tonight. It's a 3.1 mile lap here at the Marina Bay Street Circuit with 47% taken at full throttle. It's hot, humid and bumpy around the 13 lefts and the 10 rights of mostly slow corners. But we should see speeds of up to 200 miles per hour along the Raffles Boulevard. Anthony Davidson is alongside me in the commentary box this evening, and big race this one, a real test of endurance. Sounds right up your alley. Wouldn't you just love to be down there on the grid right now?
You know what, Crofty? I'm pretty happy to be up here in my air conditioning, thank you, right now. I can't stress just how difficult these conditions can be, especially when you consider it's the longest race on the calendar in terms of time. It's also one of those races where you have to remember to keep drinking, or there's a real risk of dehydration. Just like we saw with young Kevin Magnussen a couple of years ago, don't forget. We mentioned the bumps as well. Take a look at the onboards if you get a chance during this race. The movement in the suspension and the chassis is just incredible, and it's lots of hard work to wrestle the car around the lap here.
So now let's take a look at the starting grid ahead of the Singapore Grand Prix for Season 6 of F1 2018 Career Mode, the longest race on the calendar. And on pole position was Carlos Sainz on a front row lockout for both Renault boys there, Ricciardo in second place, with Max Verstappen in third and Fernando Alonso in fourth place in the first McLaren. Then myself in P5 with Nico Hülkenberg P6. Gasly 7th place with Harley in 8th, Leclerc and Perez rounded out the top 10, with Stoffel Van Dorn and Esteban Ocon on the next row, Magnussen, Vettel the next, and Grosjean and Lance Stroll in 15th and 16th. Kimi Räikkönen takes 17th place, with Sergei Sorokin 18th, and Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas share the back of the grid with engine penalties. Right, so here we are in P5 then, right behind Max Verstappen in P3. I think both of us can move up today and show the true colours of this Red Bull car. The rain definitely did conceal some of that. But strategy-wise today, we're going to move this to a one-stop, starting on Ultras. We have a free choice of tyres, remember, because everyone qualified on Inters in Q2. And then it's just a move to the soft tyres, basically. But just trying to go as long as we can into the race on those Ultras, because the soft tyres aren't the most ideal tyre around Singapore. But here we go then to 5 red lights under the floodlights here in Singapore, the nighttime race, the longest race on the calendar. 5 red lights are out and we're underway. That was a long wait time there for the lights to go out, but we're finally away and into turn 1. It's a good start for us actually for around the outside of Fernando Alonso as Verstappen does the same thing, so basically a copycat move there. I'm on the outside of Fernando, Max Verstappen's on the outside of Dan Ricciardo. He's down to P3 now, just about, but he'll come fighting back on the outside there. Verstappen makes a bit of contact as he tries to force him wide. We've got Alonso already, and so now can we try and close up on this fight? Verstappen though has been re-overtaken. Ricciardo with the better straight line speed there, it seems, and so he's back up into P2. Meanwhile, Carlos Sainz, we haven't seen him so far now since there he is. A blur of him goes by as he's dominating this now, getting already away and probably already maybe 2-3 seconds ahead of his teammate, who's still fighting half a second, does get it, and so it remains a 1-2 for Renault, but now it's a 3-4 for Red Bull. We're right up tucked behind Max Verstappen now, and let's see if we can get him on early here in this race. I know both of us want to do well, but if I can get him, that'll be better for me personally. Of course, we're in a direct championship battle with Verstappen and also Carlos Sainz technically, so I can't be Mr. Nice to my teammate anymore, really. Realistically, 2/3 into this championship. As we move now on to lap 4, we tried our best on the previous one to try and get him on the back straight. Didn't quite work out this time though. Skating through turn 1, literally the rear end steps out a little bit, and we're moving all around the circuit trying to get the most advantage we can, but just can't get close enough. Bit of oversteer there, and so we just can't close up enough there. But on lap 5, could we do it this time? DRS there, we're so close. Verstappen goes defensive, actually locks up there, and so we're through down to the inside of turn 2 now. Verstappen though round the outside, so we're neck and neck now on the exit. Verstappen though with a mistake there, but he's making up for it. He's climbed through to the inside. He's going to squeeze us off like he tried with Ricciardo. We're trying to do what Ricciardo did, hanging on the outside, but then when we plant the power, Verstappen gets such good speed. He's got DRS though, that's the difference. I don't have any DRS there, so that is literally the only difference that was made there for Max. He had DRS, I did not. I was wondering for a second how on earth he flew by me like that, but of course the rear flap opening reduces the drag, and so that's fair play. But now lap 7, we fake to the inside, then go to the outside now and trying to make the move to the inside now for this next little subtle curve on the right before the left. Don't get squeezed into the wall, hopefully by our own teammate. Don't do a Force India for the real-life Singapore Grand Prix, but we have to stick behind. We just can't get him there, but we get a good exit maybe, but the safety car is called out at the worst time for us. I was just about to say we're pulling this through. Nice slingshot move there. We went tighter on the apex, so I would have had a very good run to overtake him with DRS down that main straight. But this safety car, the one time I don't want the safety car to come out, and it comes out here. How many times have we had it come out so luckily for us this season? But this time I did not need it there, and it's come out for this reason. The Williams car had a puncture, I think that was, or a mechanical failure, and he was on the racing line, so that was a bit dangerous for the FIA, apparently, Charlie Whiting. But now on lap 7, we are coming into the pit stops as well as Verstappen. We're both going to double stack. The Renaults are also double stacking because remember, everyone pretty much starts on ultras and everyone wants to do it one stop to the soft tyres. So it's ideal not to pit, outside of the safety car period. We don't know if there's going to be a second one in the race. Usually in Singapore, you can guarantee at least one safety car. It's that kind of circuit, really. But that means we have to double stack. The Renaults did that as well. But of course, that means now I've compromised myself in a way in terms of track position. We're going to be a few positions down of Verstappen. But crucially, we're on the soft tyres now. That will take us all the way to the end of the Grand Prix. So if this Red Bull car does indeed have the race pace, we should be able to close back up. But I will admit, it did feel really annoying at the time. P14, there's a few people in there ahead of us that have yet to pit. They've not pitted on the safety car, so that's fair enough. But when it shuffles out, I would have lost a bit of time to Verstappen, which is unfortunate. But I had to come in then. There would have been no point to pit after the safety car came back in because you just lose so much time not pitting. But at the moment then, in the lead is Van Dorn. He's yet to pit. That is Carlos Sainz, though, in second place, the effective leader before the safety car. He pits. Obviously, Ricciardo had to double stack, so Ricciardo and Verstappen are together. Ricciardo's actually behind Verstappen, so that's how much time Ricciardo lost double stacking with his teammate. He's now behind Verstappen, and how much time I lost to double stacking because I'm here behind Fernando Alonso P14, although it's kind of like lap 1 all over again, me versus Alonso here as we now go green on lap 10. A momentary glitch there with the safety car coming in symbol still up on your screen. Don't worry about that, it definitely is in, and we're going racing again as we go through the first few turns, trying to close up on Alonso, having a little look on the outside there, but Alonso shuts the door really well on the right hand side there. But now can we do what we were going to do to Verstappen, basically get tight on the line there? Alonso really slows up there and holds me up. I have to get out the throttle there, so Alonso playing some very tricky tactics here, my old teammate and nemesis from season 3. But can we pull this round the outside? The Red Bull should have the superior speed. We do get that up into P13 now behind Pierre Gasly. The Williams there of Sorokin in, so we're up into P12, P10 as 2 more cars come in the Sauber and the Ferrari car. So we're back in the points paying positions, but you can see on the minimap there that dark blue dot, that is where Verstappen is, and so he's quite a bit ahead of us actually. So in the end, like I said, the double stack did hinder us, but at the same time I also have the advantage of these guys ahead of me on ultra soft tyres. They're going to have to make another pit stop, and so I'll just get 3 positions that way. But to be fair, I should have the pace, maybe not over the Toro Rosso car, but some of the other cars ahead of Gasly, even on soft tyres in this Red Bull. As we enter the next section, the Renault's round Ricciardo. He's nearly, we need T-bone Ricciardo, and he's spun around blocking the entire circuit. We've got some front wing damage now. What on earth has this Grand Prix been for us? We've got so much bad luck so far. The safety car, Ricciardo spun round. I don't even know what to say in this moment in time. This is why Ricciardo was round. Oh, he makes some contact with Verstappen. That's a bit controversial. He made some contact on the side pod, I think it was, with Verstappen trying to overtake him, and then he blocks us off a tree. I think it's Brenton Hartley and the Force India behind me that twatted me on the right-hand side and broke a bit of my front wing. So that is now potentially another pit stop for us, because front wing damage around here is just like front wing damage around Monaco. You just can't do it, basically. But here we go. Oh, that is unlucky. Ricciardo, though, a bit over-aggressive to us. I don't think Verstappen was at fault, to be honest. He was holding the inside line. Ricciardo went a bit too over-eager and touched his right tyre. And then that was the tiny bit of contact there with the Force India on the right-hand side that broke my right front wing. And so, yeah, very, very odd. I did not, I did not expect to turn left there, the end of Sector 1, and see a Renault pretty much nearly blocking off the entire circuit and most of the racing line there. And so, yeah, I'm kind of lucky I didn't T-bone him straight away and I slowed down, seeing Gasly was slowing down. Otherwise, that could have been a DNF for us in this race, so that would have been a lot worse. But it's still pretty bad, because now it's another pit stop, a front wing change. We're onto ultra soft tyres now, which should, in theory, just about maybe get us to the end of this race. Maybe. I'll have a lot of tyre wear at the end, but I pretty much have no choice. I have to do this now, because there's no point pitting again, because I'm already going to be basically in last place or second last place, because that Williams retired. So I'm in second last place. I'm way behind anyone. Like, look at the minimap there. Look how far I am away from civilization. There is no point in me pitting again, so I have to make these ultras go the distance and go all the way to the end of the race. It's a long time to go. We're only on lap 13. It's very early days. So yeah, that's kind of put a big spanner in our race. And looky here. Ironically, here is the man that kind of caused that all. Ricciardo, he pits as well. We go around the outside. We're a little bit salty, to be honest, so I cut across him on the left there and let him know how annoyed I am with what he did earlier on the Grand Prix. We're up into P18, but now it's a pretty long climb up the ladder, up the grid, to try and make anything of this Grand Prix, to be honest. But here we go. We're going to try and do it and flex the muscles of this Red Bull power. So here we go into turn 1 now, lap 15. So 2 laps later, we've already caught up to Sorokin and the Haas there. So at least we are seeing some cars to overtake. But I think it might be a few more laps until we actually see the points paying positions perhaps. We'll dive down the inside there. Very nice stuff. Sparks flying a little bit. So I think a tiny bit of contact was made with Sorokin's front wing there. But we're up into P17 nonetheless. We move on later onto that same lap, closing up to Romain Grosjean, the Frenchman, in the Haas car, right up the gearbox. They're going to make a bold statement. Down the inside we go. It's a little bit fine there. Grosjean maybe doesn't see us quite at this first instance of we made the dive, but he's sort of seen us now. We're side by side. He's on the inside, so we have to try and hang this to the outside of this very off-camber right-hander. You get so close to the wall anyway, let alone go side by side with the car, but we make it work, and we're up into P16 now, and right up behind the Finn. We use the downforce to good effect there, taking an undercut line on the Sauber to the inside, left-hand side, into turn 1, lap 16, P14, and so we're making some good progress. And now we're back behind Pierre Gasly, but he's also on a set of soft tyres, so he's also made a pit stop, but that's how much time I lost basically effectively with the front wing damage, as I had to make all those overtakes to catch back up to Gasly. But meanwhile, in first place then is Carlos Sainz. He's on the ultra soft tyres though, so he made a pit stop on the safety car like everyone else, but he went onto ultras, so that must mean he's in a 2-stop. I assumed everyone was going to try a 1-stop ultras to softs, but no, he's gone ultra and probably then softs at the end. Meanwhile, Verstappen did go into soft tyres, so now, later, like 2 laps later we're talking, Carlos Sainz comes in for a pit stop, and so he's going to hand a free race lead to my teammate because Renault, for some reason, decided they couldn't pull off a 1-stop under the safety car there. So Verstappen now is in the lead of this Grand Prix. That is not good news for me. He is now in a position where he could maybe get his 4th win in a row, which just sounds way too scary of a prospect for me in terms of he's not only my teammate, but also fighting me in the championship. So that is going to be worrying times, to be honest there. Carlos Sainz is down to P4. Meanwhile, I'm all the way back chasing after the likes of Gasly and some Ferrari cars there through the last corner. You know, it's not looking too great at the moment, I've got to be honest. We're P14. We're still half a straight away from Raikkonen in the next car. We've got yellow flags, though, right behind me on that back straight. So at this point, I slowed down a little bit, you'll notice maybe in the car, because I was literally getting my 2 prayer hands out and hoping, praying, begging the FI, give me a safety car this time. They gave me a bad one earlier. Can we get a safety car here, please? Bottas out the race. There we go. Safety car has been called out. Yes, thank you very much, Valtteri Bottas, and this is why the safety car got called out there. Bottas with a mechanical failure on the back straight, literally just right behind me, actually, and he nearly caused an accident there with Ricciardo, because Ricciardo had to dodge out of the way, and so that's why the safety car got called out, because he parks up there as well in a bit of a dangerous spot where if a car, you know, has a mistake, they could spew in and hit Bottas there, who's parked up. So thankfully, the second safety car of the race is out, and so we bunched up. We're P13 now, because someone else pit, and so we're behind Ocon now on the restart, and now we do have a chance to get some good points. So who would have thought? I thought literally my race was over. I thought no points today after I had that incident with Ricciardo and that kind of, you know, T-bone situation or near T-bone situation. But now we have a chance. We have to go very aggressive though with Ocon to say that, because he was really trying to get me back into turn 1. We squeezed him so much, and in the end as well overtook Raikkonen doing so, and we're up into P11 now, once again behind Gasly, who's been a bit of a bad omen, to be honest. Being behind him has not been the one for me so far in this Grand Prix, so if we can get past him earlier the better, that would be very ideal. As we go down now into the left-hander, this is where we had the incident, and again, a bit of deja vu there as a lock-up from Gasly is a mistake there. We are able to overtake him, thankfully. Deja vu, because last time he locked up that way, we obviously had Ricciardo halfway round and we lost our front wing there, but we're into the points-paying positions now, P10, so things are looking on the up. We've got 11 laps left. These ultras should just about go 11 laps. I mean, I'm not going to deny at the very end of the race, the tyre wear might be quite horrendous, but we'll make it to the end, hopefully, and we're going to make a little cheeky pop down the inside of our old teammate Sebastian there from last season. Thank you very much. How the change in fortunes really are different this season to last, as we now catch up to Lewis Hamilton now. We're P9, 2 points on the board. Can we get some more as we try and send one around the outside of our fellow countryman, just about dodged the wall there on the right side. He's on soft tyre, so he should have the grip, but of course, remember, we've got a bit more tyre wear in there as well, but we're still neck and neck, and Hamilton, to be fair, does an insane job of keeping it around the outside there. None of us have DRS yet because it's not activated yet after the safety car, but we go for a dive around the outside now like we did on Alonso on lap 1 on the outside to the inside for the next corner. We're going to squeeze them out and we're up into P8 then, and now it's just a bit more of an overtaking montage at this stage of the race because all these guys are on soft tyres. I'm on ultras, albeit with some tyre wear. I'm still faster at this stage because the tyre wear hasn't hit the cliff or anything like that. And so we're down the inside of the Monegasque up into P7, right at the back of then the Belgian man, Toro Rosso, Stoffel Van Dorn. Can we hang this on the outside there? He goes very deep into turn 1, so we're pushed off circuit a tad, and so we have to ride the curb a little bit there, but we're up into P6 nonetheless, and we'll try and close up now on Sergio Perez if we can. DRS open here into turn 1 again, lap 23. This really has been a good feel overtaking montage part of the episode so far, up into P5, and now look who it is. P4 is Carlos Sainz there. He's still there from P4 from when he pit before the safety car. After the safety car, he's not been able to actually jump the McLaren or the Mercedes of Hülkenberg yet, surprisingly, although now he might just do it with DRS here, so kind of weird that he only tries to attack the McLaren as soon as I catch up to him now, potentially. So if these guys fight enough, I'm there in the background, you can see we could catch up to this fight, so let's keep our fingers crossed maybe if Fernando and Carlos wants to fight a little bit. Spaniard v Spaniard, we've seen that many times before in this career mode. That would be a good thing for us. So there we go now, onto a new lap down the inside. Sainz is diving to the inside. Alonso is going to get the elbows out though, maybe, and try and get around the outside there. Really nice camera shot here to see the McLaren in picture there. Very, very nice. Usually I don't like that camera shot, but it's very, very good to see the detail there, as they're still now side by side as we go back on board with us. We have DRS now. Can we overtake Alonso? Sainz has got the speed there. He's waltzed past Alonso now, and we're going to do the same on the outside there. We're going to get back to the racing line, and we're up into P4 of this Grand Prix. This is going to be the comeback of all comebacks. We're in last place. Forget Italy. We're in last place. We were miles away from P18. The race was already running. It wasn't like we had grid penalties and started there. We were last place through a bit of a kerfuffle in the Grand Prix, so this would be a much better comeback than Italy, in my opinion. Probably one of the best comebacks I've made on the game so far, I think, actually, just due to the craziness of the two safety car timings here, as Sainz overtakes Hülkenberg there, you can see clearly on lap 25, and we couldn't get past him. We tried our best on the outside, didn't work, we hit the wall, and so now we're going to wait until lap 26, but that doesn't matter. We'll be patient. Open the DRS. Here we go, climbing on the outside of the Silver Arrow into turn 1, and there you have it. We're up into P3 of the Singapore Grand Prix, P19 to the podium after making an extra pit stop in this Grand Prix. Absolutely fantastic stuff. For me though, I was trying to see if we could catch Sainz, although it just wasn't possible. He just had way too much pace. You can see on the minimap how far he's waltzed away, because remember, my tyres now were starting to degrade way more. You can see Hülkenberg is still right behind me, because as soon as I overtook Sainz, basically my tyres started to go off the cliff. But like I said, there is a scary part to this Grand Prix for me, which is Max Verstappen there is going to get his 4th win in a row here. He's won Hungary, Belgium, Italy, and now Singapore. This really is a scary streak that my teammate is on, and I don't know what that means for the championship, but it can't mean good things for me, because I'm down in P3, so we're going to lose 10 points here today to 25 to 15. But I mean, I've got to say at the same time, GG's fair play. He's been absolutely monstrous and dominant in this part of the season. Carlos Sainz 2nd, but I'm so happy still with 3rd place after the race we've just had. What a bonkers race at Singapore.
Well done, good finish. You stepped up and achieved what we asked. Good job.
So as they climb out of the car, the Red Bull team are ready and waiting to celebrate a thoroughly well-deserved win. So, how exactly did they set themselves apart from the pack today?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
And now it's time to wind down and celebrate after that fantastic Grand Prix. Here they come, your top 3, out onto the podium.
I think that's got to be one of the craziest Singapore Grand Prix I've had on this game, I think. You know, we've had some pretty weird ones, but I think that one definitely takes the cake in Season 6 for what happened there. You know, the early safety car, then the spin, our extra pit stop, and somehow we came through. But now look at this. Because of that, we're now level on points with Verstappen. He takes the lead of the championship through default because he has more wins than me this season. And it's now on. The championship fight is well and truly ignited fully. It was already heating up, but it's now fully on the... You turn the Bunsen burner to full-on max in chemistry class because it is on. We're level on points with him. Carlos Sainz is only like 15, 16 points behind us, both of us there. But Verstappen's on a hot streak. 4 wins in a row. We've got to try and stop it next race, surely. If he goes for 5 wins in a row, that's getting towards Sebastian Vettel 2013-esque kind of territory there. And that is just a scary sight to see. But Constructors, for both of us, we've been performing well. So we're well and truly ahead in the Constructors. So at least that's one thing to be happy about for our team. But for my sake now, things are getting a little bit, you know, hot under the collar, I think is the phrase to use here at the moment. We need to pull up our socks and get going in this season now.
The fans really seem to enjoy that. You made it look easy. Another podium. You must be getting used to it up there.
Must be getting tired of it, but I didn't really expect the podium to come after that start of the race, to be honest. But I'm going to go and compliment the power unit and say the Honda power helped us through, because it definitely did help us power past some people on that back straight turn 1.
We all underestimated you, didn't we?
Yes, I think people did probably. They probably wrote me off just like I did to myself after that second pit stop, but we came back in through it.
You're no longer in the top spot. Are you hoping to regain it?
And this is a pretty simple question to answer, to be honest. The right-hand side, of course, as quickly as possible. We want to get the lead back.
You left a lot of paint on the walls today. Were you struggling for grip, or did you just misjudge some corners?
And then standard stuff with this question. Just going to go with the no comment, no point answering that for either way.
Appreciate your time.
So we come to the end of the episode. Verstappen is well and truly beating me this time around in this rivalry. I mean, I would be surprised if he wasn't, having beaten me 4 times to the race win here in a row. But our team are still happy with us, so that's fine. In terms of resource points, we've got a decent amount, but not enough to really purchase an upgrade I want to. I had a thought about the ultimate upgrade there, couldn't afford it. I could afford that fuel upgrade, but didn't want to do it. Thought about the brakes, but our chassis is pretty much there with Renault. I don't think we need to work on the chassis. Really, honestly, I think we're maybe seeing if we can save enough points maybe for 2 of these ultimate upgrades, because that is where Renault have made all their upgrades. Clearly you can see on the right hand side of that chart, that is where Renault have made their 2 upgrades in the last 2 episodes, I think, is those 2 ultimate upgrades. So I think we need to try and match them and do that. I know we won the Grand Prix again this race, but I think that there surely has got to be a point where now finally Renault actually do use that advantage they have and get back into a momentum swing where they can win some Grand Prix and try and break the streak that Verstappen's got. So I think we need to try and future-proof the car for the end of the season as well. And it doesn't look like there's going to be a regulation change, I've got to be honest, because it usually comes around now or next race in Russia or Japan, so we'll see about that. But at the moment, I'm not really thinking about saving points for the R&D reset. I'm just thinking about trying to win this championship for Red Bull and also trying to win it for myself against not only my teammate, but also Carlos Sainz, who's still very much there. You know, only 15 points. That's not a big swing, especially if we have another race like Singapore and that time we can't bring it back and we can't make a recovery drive like that. You just never know in Formula 1. But guys, if you did enjoy that very, very entertaining Singapore Grand Prix, then be sure to smash that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, subscribe for weekly Formula content. I've been aarava. Hope you enjoy the rest of the day. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.